Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Scott Likens. I'm the Artistic and Executive Director of the Lakes Year Music Festival, and we are thrilled to be back here at Trinity. It's been a few years, but I always love the acoustics and the intimate nature of the audience, and we love seeing all of your faces in it. So thanks for joining us. You are in for a real treat. Oftentimes on our winter series, you hear Chloe curate a program, and you have Taylor curate a program, but today we get both of their creative geniuses coming together for a wonderful program that they'll be telling you a little bit more about, as well as some wonderful guest musicians joining them. So thanks so much for being here. We do have one more concert on our winter series that's coming up Sunday, March 26th. Back at the Gitche Center. A lot of wonderful music, program curated by Garrett McQueen, including Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue for piano and clarinet. So I'm sure you won't want to miss that one. And that will also be our season announcement of all the fun activities coming up this summer as we celebrate our 15th anniversary season. So on the back of your program, you'll see a few of those dates to start marking your calendar for, but at that March concert, you'll get all of the details. So thank you so much to Trinity for hosting us today, and there will be a reception afterwards with some coffee and refreshments, and I'll love chatting with you down there. But for now, let's welcome these artists to the stage.
much. It's great to see such a lovely audience, a lot of familiar faces and some new faces. Our job today is to transport you to 17th century Rome. So if you've been to Rome, you know how very opulent and gilded and ornate a lot of the artwork is, and a lot of that art dates back from the 17th century, if you think of the beautiful Bernini sculptures that you find. And that's true in the music as well. It has a certain amount of gilded quality to it. And at the time, Rome was, of course, a very wealthy city. It's different from a place like Paris, where the king's word is really, that's it. If he likes a certain kind of art, great, it's going to be in fashion. And if not, you can forget it. It might as well not even exist. But in Rome, we had room for a number of art patrons. A lot of them, or at least the wealthy and most powerful, were cardinals who were looking to become pope. So they were all kind of trying to outdo each other in terms of surrounding themselves with art, and in the way that art is sometimes used as a source of power and esteem. They would each, you can imagine that sacred music had definitely a stronghold in Rome. The great thing about having someone like Queen Christina eventually move to Rome is that you have a chance for art's sake. She loved a lot of sacred music as well as secular music, and that variety is something you're going to find today. A little more about Christina. She ruled, and as you might expect, she allowed the arts to really flourish. She cared about arts and sciences and mathematics. She wasn't as good with the finances, and she was a pacifist. So those things made it not the ideal situation for her in Sweden, and she eventually abdicated the throne. She converted to Roman Catholicism, and she had a very warm reception. You can imagine it was this royal celebrity who was known for being extremely intelligent. She got attention she was a little bit considered subversive in that she didn't conform to a lot of the conventions that a woman was expected to. She didn't want to get married. She wore men's clothing at times. She did what she wanted, and she had a real point of view. And she brought that point of view to Rome. Today, she's one of only 4 women to be buried in St. Peter's Basilica. So she definitely found her community there and was something of an arts icon. And we're going to view Rome through the lens of Queen Christina this evening, or rather this afternoon. It's been a long morning, but it's lovely. We're going to say just a bit about our instruments. If you've come to some of these concerts before, these aren't so unfamiliar, but I have here a Baroque violin. It looks very similar to modern, but it has some differences. There's no chin rest, there's no shoulder rest. The neck shape is a wedge shape. It fits in the hand a little better. It's more along the lines of what a fiddler might do these days. And it's under less tension, but the gut strings are really what make a really different quality of sound, a little more mellow, a little darker. I'm going to pass this around so you get a sense of the other instruments as well. But I also want to take a moment to just show you some way that we actually are ornamenting our music in the way that we're talking about Rome being quite opulent. I'm going to go back over to the first movement of Corelli, what we just played, and play a plain version of what you see on the page, and then give you a sense of an ornamented version. It's pretty, it's fine, it's not bad, but okay, let's try to get more creative now. And like anything fancy, there's always that point at which you could become tacky, but that's for us to discover and you to let us know later how you feel. I'm going to turn it over now to Caroline.
Thank you, Chloe. So I'm playing the other instrument here that would probably be the most familiar to you. This is a cello. This is in a historic setup, so I did not lose my end pin. This is an intentional choice. The violin is actually quite an old instrument, but it was not very fashionable for a long time because it was sort of considered to be a crass bar type instrument. As it became more elevated, however, they realized they needed to build a bigger version of a violin to accompany it. So here's my big violin. I'll pass it over to Brandon.
The instrument I'm playing is called a theorbo, Theorbo. It's essentially a giant lute, or I like to call it a lute on steroids sometimes. Or the giraffe guitar, whichever you like. Essentially, they started with a Renaissance lute, which is this sort of teardrop or pear-shaped instrument, round back, and they just kept making it bigger and bigger and bigger until they could have deeper, lower-tuned bass notes. And in search for even lower bass notes, as we approach 1600, they kept extending the neck longer and longer because we are all using historical strings, which is sheep intestine, some type of cattle intestine. And so to make that string sound good at very low pitches, you have to make it long. Hence the secondary neck here, which I have to actually stand up to tune each time I have to adjust something. One day I'll put it in my contract that I get an assistant or something. So it's a member of the lute family, it's guitar-like, and the main point of it in the ensemble is to supply these very beautiful low bass notes, which is super satisfying. I'll throw it over to Tommy on the harpsichord.
So this is a harpsichord, and I feel like some of you maybe have even seen this instrument before. It is a copy of a 1624 Colmar Rookers, but this was made in 2018. It has a very round sound because the material that I use on it, which is unusual for harpsichords today, is actual bird quill. So the mechanism is, the keyboard's like a lever. You press on one side, the other side goes up and pushes the jack up, which then plucks the string. So you can really hear the pluck of it, and the material that's plucking it makes a big difference in the sound. So this instrument has two keyboards, this lower one, this upper one, and then when I push them together, when you hear that clanging, that's what I'm doing. When I play on the lower one, it's actually plucking two notes, if I do it very slowly. So I can get that loud and soft. And then also up here, if you see me messing with this, it's because I'm jealous of the sound of the theorbo. It's called the lute stop, which gives it sort of a lutey sound, but it's much better to hear an actual theorbo. So those are all the sounds on the harpsichord, and then eventually pianos come after this around 1700. They were invented because someone wanted to make a harpsichord that played loud and soft. So that's where the piano and forte come from. And then eventually the harpsichord dies out in favor of the piano.
We're going to quickly tune once again because one of the joys of gut strings is they go out of tune if any of you are breathing. And then we're going to have Taylor Ward join us for our next selection.
Thank you very much. It's so wonderful to be back in Brainerd and to be sharing this program with all of you. We have had such a wonderful week exploring this music, putting it together, and getting to know each other in a new way. So that's a real treat. I would invite you tonight, as you hear especially this song repertoire, to remember that these pieces were popular music, not art music at the time. So it may have been popular music for a very small elite. We are talking about the Roman court, so there is a bit of a barrier to entry there. But these songs really are meant to be entertainment more than they are some sort of high art piece. And they share a lot of their DNA with popular music today. So if we think about the most common topic of pop songs right now, it would be love, I think, is a pretty safe bet. And these songs are almost all about love, whether it's sacred or secular. These composers and these poets found ways to talk about the highest highs and the lowest lows, and oftentimes to sort of put them in close proximity to try to get you to feel as wide a range of emotions as possible. And this is a period in both music and in poetry that is obsessed with contrast. We think of, you may know the term chiaroscuro as an artistic movement that is also part of early modern Italy. It is about trying to find the light and the darkness and the different ways that we can paint that with music. So as we go through today's program, you'll be hearing a lot of words like dolor, which is pain, languir, which is languishing, a lot of amar and vivo, which is to live. So I invite you to see how these different ideas are painted in the text. And this is sort of the golden age of the torch song. So next up we have a piece called Dolor senza rimedio, pain without ceasing. Dolor senza rimedio, ai, 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 dolor senza rimedio, ai, ai, una subita distanza mi disdegna la speranza, e quando il mio gioir, quanto è più ride, e l'anno è il mio gioir, quanto è più ride. Dolor senza rimedio, ai, 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 che uccide. Dolor senza rimedio, ai, 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 che m'uccide. Ai, ai, che m'uccide. Una tradita fe così dicea, una tradita fe così dicea, quando da sé vedea sparir l'eternità del primo riso, ne suoi innata al chiuso, senza toccar merigio, ai giù giunse a sera, legro e ballen, di sue fidanzi fide. Senza toccar meriggio, giunse a sera, legro ballen, di sue fidanzi fide. Dolor senza rimedio, che m'uccide, dolor senza rimedio, che m'uccide, quel forsenato cuore che fonda la sua pace in un lampo d'amore, sento ben grosso le tuoni la saetta, ti segui un feritor, ferite aspetta, ti segue un feritor, ferite aspetta, ferite aspetta, ferite dolor senza rimedio, che m'uccide, dolor senza rimedio, Thank you. And next up, we have a piece that, through human error on my part, is not in your translation booklet, so I will tell you a bit about it. It's a short cantata by Alessandro Scarlatti called Immagini d'orrore. The first aria is about invasive thoughts, thoughts that we want to get rid of. In particular, this is about thinking of one's partner's infidelity or possible infidelity. Then we have a brief recitative where the speaker goes into more detail and literally hears two voices saying different things in his head. One saying, Chloe, the beloved, Chloe is always faithful to you. And then the other voice in your head saying, Chloe is faithful to everyone. And finally, in a sort of bizarre but a twist that seems very fitting for this age, there's a final jaunty aria where the speaker decides that it's okay to not know, and he's just going to go on loving her and come what may.
Se dubbioso il mio cuore pensa talvolta in petto che del mio fido affetto piaccion le rimembranze all'idol mio. Ai, con tormento rio agitata la mente, mi figura che d'altri è il mio tesoro. Se un pensier di ristoro dice Clori per te sempre s'affanna, ai, con idea tiranna un altro mio pensier mi dice allora Filen, puoi darti pace, Clori un altro pastor costante adora. Amo sì, ma sempre temo che il mio ben mi sia e disdegno allor che fremo. Ardo più, son fedel, più son fedel, più son fedel. E disdegno allor che fremo. Ardo più, più son fedel, più son fedel. Amo sì, ma sempre temo il mio ben mi sia crudel, che il mio ben mi sia crudel. Amo sì, ma sempre temo il mio ben mi sia crudel, 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 sempre temo il mio ben mi sia crudel, mi sia crudel, mi sia crudel.
next up, we have our first sacred song of the program, and you'll notice that it has a lot of similarities with the other vocal music that you've heard today. One thing that is different and special to me about this piece is the sort of continuing tantric 3 that goes all the way through the whole piece. There's never a break or really much of a pause, and part of me thinks that all of the 3s in the meter, in the phrasing, and everything is probably a symbology of the trilogy in some way, and it's been really nice to get to know this piece as well as the others, and to see the tastes of someone like Queen Christina, because all of these composers were at some point employed by her to write this kind of music for her court. So it's an interesting way to get to step into the mind and the ears of somebody from many centuries ago, is to find the things that they like and to bring them to life. Then we have a very interesting secular song called E bello l'ardire. Much like pop music today, there's a chorus and then there are verses. In this piece, each of the verses uses a story from Greek mythology to tell us about the follies of our own people in our own time. The first verse being about the famous story of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun, and you will hear in the vocal line, there's a word precipitando, which is precipitous, and I will fall into the sea along with my colleagues. And in the second verse, you have the story of Enceladus, who is a little bit less known, but he was one of the giants who tried to storm Mount Olympus, tried to climb the mountain itself. And he was cast down, defeated by Athena, I believe, and bound underground for all eternity, where he became Mount Etna. So the volcanic eruptions are really Enceladus getting out his ire at the gods. And then finally, there's a little summation verse, which reminds me of a phrase that's become very popular in sort of modern pop psychology. I would sort of sum it up as saying, hurt people hurt people.
vos iam lacera, per vos iam perdida, in odio habita gens humana redenta, redenta et revocata est. Redi signus amoris, o vulnera doloris, o vulnera doloris. Per vos iam laceram, per vos iam perdida, in odio habita gens humana redenta, redenta et revocata est. Veni signum amoris, o vulnera doloris, o vulnera doloris. Quas ergo gratias non credam debitas, quas ergo gratias non credam debitas, aquam vis maximas offero parvulas, aquam vis maximas offero parvulas, ocid pinius amoris, o vulnera doloris, o vulnera doloris. Quas ergo gratias non credam debitas, quas ergo gratias non credam debitas, aquando maximas offero parvulas, aquam vis maximas offero parvulas, ocid pinus amoris, o vulnera doloris, o vulnera doloris. Solum cantabo, cantabo et predicabo, dicendo iris, disunt actus amoris, o vulnera doloris, o vulnera doloris. Solum cantabo, cantabo, et predicabo, dicendo iberis, disunt actus amoris. O vulnera doloris, o vulnera doloris, o vulnera doloris. È bello l'ardire d'un'anima forte che incontra la morte per nobil desire, che incontra la morte per nobil desire. È bello l'ardire, è bello l'ardire, è bello l'ardire. A chi non cura i guardi, Icaro audace, quanto spiegar presume, c'è il genitor seguace, per insolite vie non suele più me. Se poi precipitando va con marmo voragini profonde, lascia nome a quell'onde, oggi ancor mormorando, or chi il vanti di lui voglion ridire. È bello l'ardire d'un'anima forte che incontra la morte bello l'ardire. Se un'encella rubelle sovra copino dei monti, de titani armi lidendi contro dei, contro le stelle. Chi per man miraviglia non iguarci alle ciglia, se poi disteso a terra da braccio onnipotente sepolto anco fa guerra e vomitando a dior solo gente con nome Nico e ciel doga pulire e bello l'ardire d'un'anima forte chi incontra la morte per nobile desire chi incontra la morte per nobile desire e bello l'ardire e bello l'ardire e bello l'ardire. Quanto con lui si inganna quest'anima amante per nobile sembiante, per troppo temeraria oggi condanna. Quanto con lui si inganna. E un'aquila il mio cuore che l'occhio del pensier fissa nel sole, ne di soffrir i duoli ogni strazio onore. Se congiuri contro me la fortuna quanto dall'armi danni di mia fe ingegnosa crudeltà e ingegnosa crudeltà per si degna cagion gloria e morire per si degna cagion gloria e morire. E bello l'ardire d'un'anima forte chi incontra la morte per nobil desire
We have one piece left on our program, and before we play it, I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone here at Trinity for being such excellent hosts, as always. As Scott said earlier, it has been a little while since we've given a concert here, and it is really wonderful to be back. So thank you, and also thank you to all of our guest musicians who joined us for taking this journey with Chloe and me over the past week, and yeah, we'll see you after the show.
Servus, cantes servus o Iesus mi. Et nostris lacrimis amaris vocibus veniur fis. Et nostris lacrimus amaris vocibus venimus fis, veniur fis. Veniur fis, amaris vocibus venimus fis, amaris vocibus veniur Cosas horribiles furias, ed in te de frange preferi, sen de frange, sen de frange, frange, frange repete. Franger barbaras abile lumine, radianti concordie lumine, dies relandauri como Franger barbaras abile lumine, radianti concordie lumine, dies relandauri como Cosas horribiles furias, cose frange, frange, repel, sempre frange, sempre frange, 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 repel. Pacis nos rode asperte, dulcis pacis, dulcis pacis, dulcis pacis nos rode asperte. Et pugnaci fuerentur in inie, sigis acis in fronte et pugnace fuerentes in vie. Et pugnaces fuerentur in vie. Sigis acis in fronte subverte, Pacis nos rode asperte, dulcis pacis, dulcis pacis, dulcis pacis nos rode asperte, dulcis pacis nos rode asperte. Oh,